So last night was Love Island 2024 episode 1, and I always feel like the first episode is the worst one to watch because people are nervous and they're trying to act confident, and it can come across as really cringy. And then there's a lot of people as well that are just going to judge straight away. Now, I have judged people in Big Brother, Love Island, and I've hated them straight away, and as time goes on they've ended up being my absolute favourites, so we'll see what happens today. Let me know in the comments if there's anybody in the house so far that you think is hot, or the people that you just want gone. So they're all sitting around getting to know each other, and they're like, oh, what do you do for a living? And Sam says he's a hairdresser. A hairdresser with a mullet. I'm sorry, but if I walked into the hairdressers and he looked like that, I'd be like that, oh sorry, I think I've came to the wrong place. Mimi, I think is absolutely stunning, but she was saying that she likes a man to be an alpha, and I detest anybody who describes themselves or other people as alphas. It's so primitive to me. Like, I don't understand why people's brains are so unevolved. But I'm interested to see who she thinks in that house is an alpha, because so far, I'm not seeing any. So I was just waiting on the first fanny coming into the house and going, oi oi! And it didn't take long because Kieran and Ronnie walked in. I wasn't sure what one it was because you didn't see their mouths moving, but as soon as he opened his mouth, I knew it was Ronnie. He's like, oh, I'm just a geezer, I'm from London. And I was like, oh, fuck off. That is one of the worst types of people that I could ever encounter. I hate people that are lads and know how like they've got that kind of fucking sleazy, smarmy attitude. I was like, I like watching Love Island, but sometimes it is so hard to keep my foot down. I'm like, get him away from me. So as they were sitting around getting to know each other, they were like, oh, what's your biggest ick? So please let me know your biggest icks in the comments. Here's just some of mine. Anybody who describes themselves as an alpha, a lad, a cheeky chappy, anybody who's in the army, anybody who's a fighter, like a boxer or any kind of fighting, like a gym bro, somebody who is like overly masculine, anybody who overly speaks with their hands and speaks like Tim Westwood. When I used to watch Pimp My Ride, I was like, I can't even watch this, he's making me feel uncomfortable. Thankfully they're too young for me and I don't have to worry about any of that crap anymore. But they told them to play a game and the girls had to put the boys in order from most to least boyfriend material, and then the boys had to do it to the girls. So when the girls were doing it, they were like, oh, this is fun, like, this is a laugh, and it was fine. But then when the boys were doing it, the lassies were raging, and I was like, get a grip, right? Obviously wasn't paying much attention at the time. So at the time I didn't even think, oh, they're probably going to pair them up. But they paired them up and some of them were happier than others. So Ayo was talking to Mimi and he was saying, oh, how would you feel about somebody kissing you on the first night? And he was being totally obvious and cringy. But I actually really liked him. And I kind of felt bad for the guy that she's paired up with, because I feel like she's given him a little bit of false hope. And I know she's trying to not be nasty or whatever, but she's like, oh, I'm really happy in my couple and all that, when she's clearly not. So then Maya came in and she was introducing the new Islander, and she was like, oh, let me introduce Joey, right? So when he walked in, they were like, oh my god, it's Joey Essex, oh my god, it's Joey Essex, I can't believe this, it's Joey Essex. And I was like, and what? And what? I used to work in the casino years ago, and like footballers and that would come in and people would be like, oh my god, he's a footballer, and I'd be like, oh. And like, these people are not famous to me. Like, there's been times where I've been out and we've seen Anton, like he's come into my work before, or I've seen him shopping, and people are like, oh my god, it's Anton! Okay, fucking calm yourself. It's not as if it's an A-list celebrity. And I don't know, I just don't get it with Joey Essex at all. I mean, would you go with him? Let's be honest. If I was young, I still wouldn't go with him. Let me know in the comments, like, are you impressed by this or what? So far, I think it's going quite well. The two that I would like to see going first is Ronnie and Munvir, because when he came in as well, he was like, oi oi, and I was like, fuck off. Can't be bothered with that fucking attitude. To be fair though, after that he came across as a nice guy, but by that point it was already too late.